Every morning, at exactly 6 o'clock, Kamla woke up. Not because of an alarm, not because of habit, but because her hands remembered. She washed her face, tied her hair neatly, and stepped into the small kitchen where sunlight barely reached. The shelves were old, the stove rusted, but everything was arranged with care. On the wall hung a faded school timetable years, old yellow at the edges, never taken down. Kamla lit the stove and began cooking. Rice, lentils, a small portion of vegetables. Nothing fancy, just the way her son liked it. She packed the food carefully into a steel tiffin box. She wiped the lid twice, making sure there were no stains. Then she placed a small spoon inside and closed it with a soft click. Every single day, the neighbors noticed. At first, they thought she was helping someone else's child. Then they realized there was no child. Her son Rohan had died 5 years ago. An accident, sudden, cruel, a speeding bus, a careless moment, and a life that never returned home from school. People had cried with Kamla in the beginning. They had brought food, spoken kind words, told her time would heal everything. But time didn't heal. It just taught her how to hide the wound. Rohan had been 8 years old, thin arms, curious eyes, and a smile that appeared whenever he smelled food from the kitchen. "Ma, is there extra today?" he would ask every morning, peeking into the pot. "Finish what you have first," she would scold gently, placing his tiffin into his bag. The day he died, his tiffin was still on the kitchen shelf packed, warm, untouched. Kamla never threw it away. Now, every morning after packing the tiffin, she sat on the floor and waited. She waited for footsteps that would never return, for a voice that would never ask, "What did you make today?" At 9 o'clock, she lifted the tiffin and walked to the small park nearby. She sat on the same bench every day, placing the tiffin beside her. People passed by, children laughed, mothers called their sons and daughters. Kamla watched silently. Sometimes a child would sit near her, sometimes none would. She never opened the tiffin there. That part was important. She returned home at noon, opened the box, and placed the food in front of Rohan's framed photograph. "You must be hungry," she whispered. "You never liked being late for lunch." Her voice never shook, her hands never trembled. Grief had settled into her bones like a second skeleton. One afternoon, a new neighbor, Sunita, finally gathered the courage to speak. "Why do you do this to yourself?" she asked gently. "He is not coming back." Kamla smiled politely. "I know," she said. "Then why?" "Because I am still his mother." Sunita fell silent. Kamla continued, "The day I stop making his tiffin, that day he will truly be gone. As long as my hands remember him, he exists." That night, Kamla dreamed of Rohan. He stood in his school uniform, holding his bag, smiling. "Ma," he said, "you don't have to make it every day now." She woke up with tears for the first time in years. The next morning, she still woke up at 6. She still cooked, she still packed the tiffin. But instead of keeping it aside, she did something different. She walked to the orphanage at the end of the street. A small boy sat alone, staring at others eating. Kamla placed the tiffin in front of him. "Eat," she said softly. The boy looked up. For me, she nodded. That day, Kamla didn't feel lighter. She didn't feel healed, but she felt something new. Purpose. From that day on, Kamla made a tiffin every morning. Not for one child, but for many. Sometimes 2, sometimes 3, sometimes more. She still spoke to Rohan's photograph. She still remembered his favorite meals. She still missed him with every breath. But now, when she closed the tiffin lid, she whispered, "Eat well, my child, wherever you are." And somewhere between loss and love, a mother found a way to keep her child alive, not in memory alone, but in kindness passed on. Because a mother's love does not end with death, it only changes hands. If you or someone you know is struggling with grief, please know that help is available. There are resources and people who can support you through this difficult time. Thanks for watching.